A StarCraft strategist has the ability to combine the innovative, perceptive, and holistic insights of a build order with the pragmatic and systemic skills of a pro to guide strategic direction in the StarCraft universe. Introducing the Strategist.
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 11 of The Strategist. My name is OctanePro, and joining me, as always, is my co-host Buddha. Buddha, how's it going?
It's going good, man.
Excellent, excellent. Well, quite a week for StarCraft 2. What have you been watching? What have you been into in the past week or so?
I have been catching up completely on GSL, round of 32, and I've watched a little bit of the round of 16 so far. And let me tell you, man, one of those Kespo players looks pretty damn good.
Yeah. Some of the Kespo players are kind of slowly, their skill level is slowly moving up there. I know like some of the Brood War stuff has kind of been migrating out, and that's been really exciting to hear and actually see. Any player that stands out particular to you?
Spoiler alert for GSL round of 32, and I don't know about further. I actually do know about further, but Rain from SK Telecom, not the Terran Rain that used to be on.
Oh, I don't
actually know what team he used to be on.
Yeah.
I'm assuming he was Prime because they had all the Terran all-inners, but I might be wrong. But it's SK1 Telecom's Rain, and he is fantastic Protoss player. He beat Tajii and Pult in PvT in a row in the same group. Like, blew my mind. He's incredible. If you guys have a chance to go watch those GSL games, please do.
Yeah, definitely. I do not watch enough GSL. There's just StarCraft. The StarCraft scene has gotten to the point where there's too much to watch. Like, there's so much out there right now. It's unbelievable. I mean, I wish I could watch more GSL, but I just don't have the time because like there's NASL that's on as well, and then IPL that's on as well. It's just it's really cool to see the scene has developed to the point where there's so much content. But as I said, there's just so much.
I'm sure there's a way that, like, I'm sure you could listen to StarCraft and be off just as fine, I guess. You know, listening to cast as opposed to, like, watching and listening at the same time.
Yeah.
But someone needs to come up with, like, a pure radio cast where, like, you know, they're casting for replays or something, and they're willing to, like, pause the game to explain what's going on to someone that can't watch the game at the same time.
Correct.
Just so they can keep up, kind of, maybe. I don't know if that's a good idea or it would be popular, but who knows, it might be, because there's a lot of good StarCraft content and not a way to watch all of it.
You need, like, a late night show, like that, like the Letterman show or whatever, that kind of goes over, like, what's, you know, the top few games this week to watch, the big things that are going on. That would be kind of cool, and kind of like pipe in a few of the replays. I don't know. Pretty cool.
That's what we're doing here.
That's what we're doing here, yeah. No, that would be really cool, though. There's an idea for a move. You know, that'll be our next show, StarCraft 2 show, late night show, having it like, you know, 11:30 every night. It's like a half-hour long. Late
night, 11:30, Octane.
Well, then
you have grown too old,
by
sir.
By the time it ends, it's like 12 or like 12:15. There you go, late night right there. Anyways, back on track. That's kind of what we're doing here for you guys today. Today we're going to be going over the PvP StarGate Opening and kind of analyzing that build. It's quite unique, and so I'm actually going to pass it over to Buddha and let Buddha kind of explain some of the build order and some of the things to look out for.
Yeah, man. So like Octane said, we're doing Protoss versus Protoss StarGate openings, which is a pretty unique opening. And it is going to open pretty standard. It's 9 pylon, 12 or 13 gate, 14 gas, 17 core, second gas around 20, 21, 22, 23. And then everything goes crazy, right? Because PvP, you can open with your own style. So, yeah, this is basically how we start. I like to open with a 3 Stalker Rush. I think it's really safe. And then you make sentries if you need to, but you poke with your Stalkers, of course. Clear any pylons, any probes around the map that might proxy any gateways for a fast warp gate. And you're going to use your Chrono on those Stalkers initially. And then you're going to want to make sentries if you're going to get pressured or attacked. Otherwise, you want to make your Stargate and a Phoenix as soon as possible. And you want to make, well, so the build we have up here is a little different than kind of what I like to see. I like to see 2 gates into a Stargate, into a Robo. But if you're going to get all in, then of course add gateways on so you can produce units very quickly. Robo being for Observer and Immortals, because your opponent has to go Stalker if they don't open Stargate, and Immortals rape Stalkers. I don't know if I'm allowed to say rape, actually. I apologize if that offends anybody.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but yeah, that's a very standard opening, and we're going to see a couple of different ways to do it. Of course, PvP is very, very difficult, so this isn't going to be a specific build order based show, but it's going to be how is Stargate strong, how do you beat it, how do you react to it, and of course, why does it win a lot of the time.
Excellent. Well, sounds good. Yeah, the PvP, as you explained, is very diverse. Like, we couldn't just put up like a perfect cookie cutter build. Because
that would make the game pretty boring.
Yeah, and because it's so unique, PvP with the Stargate. And I love to see Stargate, but let's not kind of waste time anymore. Let's go ahead and jump into game, and we'll go ahead and get into game 1, which is actually Mana versus Hero, which should be really exciting. Buddha, let me know once you're into the game.
I'm ready.
All right, let's go ahead and get started in 3, 2, and 1. And in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the red Protoss player representing Mals. We have Mana.
And at the top right, we have Liquid Hero. And kind of random, I went through, God, so many high-level Protoss players on the NA server and replay packs and stuff. But Liquid Hero just had, like, all of the replays that were good, even if they were against him. So we're going to see exactly how he plays Stargate and how he deals with Stargate in a couple of different replays here. And yeah, of course, he's spawning at the top right as the blue Protoss player. Everyone loves to see Liquid Hero. We always get a lot of positive feedback when we do these. So
yeah, I mean, Hero, he's always been popular, but I feel like over the past like 6 months, he's just got this very strong, Protoss following. And even when I was at MLG, the last MLG at Raleigh, there was a very strong following for him, and everybody loved his warp gate play. And I mean, he was just amazing with it. Like, he acts like a Terran player with medevac drops, and it's really exciting to see, which is kind of on the flip side of what you see typical Protoss players. It's kind of boring when you see a lot of Protoss players play, because you always know what to expect. But coming out of Hero, we definitely see some diversity recently.
Yeah, no, and, you know, Hero's kind of a little bit of a pioneer, relatively speaking. He's really, really good at, you know, kind of inventing his own little way to play the game, especially with War Prisms, of course. We love to talk about that, but as we see, both players taking their gas around the same time here. Mana a little bit quicker on it. And this is kind of how PvP opens. And so, okay, I'm really sorry I couldn't find the most normal one to play first, but we are going to have a double gas from Hero at 16. And this is going to do a couple of things for him. A, it's going to allow him to get sentries out a lot quicker, so he can play safer without scouting. And as we can see, he's not scouting with a probe. And I think that's a really important thing to note. And we'll see exactly how that affects him. But it is going to delay his probe production while he gets that core up. And he's going to put 2 in each gas. And then another game he's going to put 3 in each gas. And we'll discuss the differences when we get to it.
Yeah, definitely pay attention to that 2 into gas, as Buddha had mentioned there. But as we do see here, we actually saw Mana actually go ahead and get his second gas just now, a little bit later. And he actually did scout on the left-hand side here, looking for any proxy gates. Very wise choice on his part. Didn't see anything. And now he has continued directly into the base of Liquid Hero. And he's getting some great scouting information. He sees his opponent does have the gateway up. He does have a Cybernetics core with double gas. So both players going very, very similar play at this point in time.
Yep. And, I mean, neither of them are really going to chrono boost their warp gate too much. Because they're scouting each other, they see the double gas. They see there are no additional warp or gateways coming down. And they see that their chrono boost isn't being used on warp gate. So they know that a timing attack is not evident at the moment. We see a second gate from Mana here. It is later than a 3-Stalker Rush, so that's not what that is going to be. And we'll come back to him in a second. Hero, in the meantime, filled his gases in with 3 probes in each very quickly, actually, and is now going to throw down his Stargate on the left side of his base off of 1 gateway. So the reason he can do this is because he went for a sentry very quickly off of 1 gate, so he can, you know, chain force fields if he needs to. And he scouted really well, right? Because his opponent's not really making a whole lot of units early, so he can sit in his opponent's base and see exactly what he's doing.
Definitely, and right now we are seeing additional scouting done actually by Mana using his Stalker. Goes ahead and checks the Zalnaga Tower, and then also checks the left-hand side there for anything. And very wise decision. It's really cool to see, you know, additional scouting going on even a few minutes later, just to make sure that he's not missing anything. As Buddha had mentioned, Chrono's being used more heavily on the gateways by Mana, and his warp gate is probably about 70% completed at this point, and we actually see Liquid Heroes is a little bit farther ahead. It's probably right up around 90% right now.
Yeah, and Hero scouted that a Twilight Council was coming down, so he knows exactly what Mana is doing. It's going to be a Blink opening. A 2-gate Blink is a pretty safe opening in PvP, and he's going to go ahead and add that Robo on, because Mana actually doesn't know what his opponent's doing at this point, whereas Hero does, and he sees that it's Twilight, so he knows it's going to be very Stalker heavy, and throws down that Robo, which is the safe way to do it, right? And that's what we're talking about. 2-gate StarGate Robo. Very safe, and most of the time we see people move out with this first Phoenix.
Yeah.
Because they want to make sure it's not DTs or anything. But he did see that it was a Twilight Council. So while it could be DTs, he is going to go ahead and push across the map and just double check now. But he knows it wasn't a super fast Twilight.
One thing to keep in mind, guys, that we didn't comment on, as soon as that Stargate finishes is when you want to start piping out your Phoenixes right away. The timing is extremely important, and that's what's going to allow this Phoenix play to be so effective versus his opponent, Mana.
Yeah. And, I mean, as you can see, Hero's just kind of running around with the Phoenixes, B9, making sure his opponent didn't expand. Blink is not done yet, so Hero can't really get caught out here. He's going to lose a little bit of health. Not a huge deal. He's got 3 Phoenixes now. Not opting to make a 4th, knowing that it's going to be Blink play out of his opponent, and seeing that a robotics facility came down, but not producing anything. Not producing anything is really important here. So Mana throwing down a 4th gate, way too much production on one base, but he either needs to hold off an all-in or do an all-in of his own, because trying to expand against Phoenixes when you're not really all that prepared is really difficult.
And we actually see Liquid Hero spot the proxy pylon in the upper corner. Additional Zealots on their way to actually go address that right now. And the big thing is to keep in mind about these Phoenixes is it's giving Liquid Hero map control. Even if it's just 3, it's allowing him to kind of know exactly what's going on at all times. As you can see, he does have the 1 Zelnaga, but outside of that, the Phoenixes are his eyes, and he is able to scout a lot. He is seeing that his opponent is going very Stalker heavy, that Blink has completed, and now he can proceed properly as to the direction that he'd like to go with his army.
Yeah, and Hero actually lost 2 Stalkers. A really good job by Mana, trapping those Phoenixes in the corner, knowing that he actually couldn't leave without taking free shots. So the Blink goes off, and Hero's going to start his Phoenix production up again, and there's a couple of reasons for this, but one is because he knows his opponent's going Robo. And Phoenixes are pretty good against just about everything in this matchup, so he is making a lot of Immortals themselves. He's going Sentry Zealot, and that's very important. Stalkers take up a lot of gas and a lot of minerals relative to the other units, and you want to go Immortal heavy if your opponent's going Stalker heavy. So very smart to take the other 2 routes and be able to use Force Fields and get that Zealot DPS out there.
We are seeing Mana progress forward on the map here. He has 2 additional proxy pylons, an observer going up on the high ground right now, Scout, along with Stalkers on the low ground. Up above, we do have 3 Immortals and a handful of Zealots, along with 2 Sentries. So pretty much, Mana's trying to get into the perfect position right now to blink up. And Liquid Hero knows exactly what's going on. And he's going to progress forward right here and go ahead and do some decent damage. Zealots do get caught in the force field, so both players kind of neck and neck waiting for the other one to make a mistake.
So really important is Hero picked off the Observer there, and that means that Mana's harass is done. He didn't make a second Observer. So now Hero's going to add a Robotics Bay, and Mana's going to go ahead and put a Contain down underneath Hero and make sure he can't come out. And with Sentries, he makes it almost impossible for Hero to come down at this point because he can just force field the army in half.
Yeah.
So Hero is going to try to get that Colossus out as quickly as possible, and that's, of course, going to allow him to break force fields so he can move down his ramp. And Mana is going to expand. Hero's going to scout it with his Phoenixes. And we've got a really awkward position here while both players try to get out the units they want.
Yeah, this almost feels like a TBT where you have the suffocation of Terran tanks, actually. And this is very similar. But at this point right now, as you said there, we're just putting more Immortals coming out right now. And yeah, Colossi is pretty much the only thing that is available that can actually help Liquid Hero at this point. We do have Phoenixes pretty much patrolling the map, trying to pick off 1 or 2 units here and there the best they can. But right now, it's just kind of hanging out and waiting right now.
He's got to get that Colossus, man. He's trying to boosting it as hard as he can. Mana's expansion is about to finish, so he's going to have a nice economic lead. And as we can see, the supplies are about even. Mana not wasting any money on probes quite yet, and so he's he's really investing in his army right now and less in his economy. And that's a decision he's making, right? It's not a wrong one necessarily, but as we see heroes moving down the ramp, make sure those force fields don't go off by keeping that Colossus alive and in the middle of his forces. Yeah. He is kind of going to break out eventually. Not at this moment. That moves down the ramp. 5 Immortals going to crush through this. And Mana's like, well, that's actually just too much for me to deal with without Zealots on the field. So now Hero's going to expand, and Mana's expansion is already done. So Mana seems to have a pretty good lead and did a great job containing Hero on that one base for a really long time.
Yeah, it's actually really surprising right now to see that we're about the 13-minute mark. Both Protoss players are on one base. Mana did actually get his up, as you just said right there, and it's just starting to mine off of it. But we are actually going to see Hero now press out and start to clean up the map. Those 5 Immortals are definitely super scary, especially with that Colossi available there. And I'm actually eager to see how Hero progresses here. Does he just go back and secure his main? Does he press forward and try to do a little damage to his opponent? Where does he exactly go from this point in time?
Yeah, and remember that Mana forced, Hero forced Blink out of Mana, so Mana kind of has to commit to these Stalkers a little bit, and he's going to make a Zealot Immortal army at home, another engagement in the middle of the map here. What's the time check for me? What's the time?
Time check for me is 14:11.
Okay, I will pause for a second here. And, eventually Mana is probably going to want to go into something like Charge, but it looks like instead he's going to go double Robo for more Colossus and LOL PvP, right?
Yep, exactly. And we actually see Mana trying to get some positioning with his Blink Stalkers, but as of right now, there is no Observer actually with them. Liquid Hero's army could decimate that small handful of Stalkers just with how powerful those Immortals are. And right now, it looks like both players just working on their economy at this point. If we take a look at the Harvester count, we are seeing a 35-31 lead for Mana, which would make sense because he did actually get his expansion up faster. But now we're going to have to see, if Liquid Hero can take back that economic, that lead that Mana does have.
Yeah, and keep in mind, right there, we just saw a little engagement. Hero saw that Mana had blinked already, so he then decided, okay, now I can use force fields and trap some Stalkers because they have no escape, and put down the perfect force field. Great location. Hero going to take a second Robo here, just like his opponent, and he is down like 8 supply right now. And he can't really push across the map because his Blink Stalkers can harass him. Mana doing a good job of making units at home and taking his, they're taking their gases pretty quickly. PvP is a weird matchup. If you take him too quickly, then you have too much gas and you have to go Archon or something. If you take him too slowly, learn your gas timings.
So it does look like Mana's actually migrating away from Immortal and actually going very heavy into Colossi. He is currently on 3. He has 1 additional one on the way with an Observer. Yeah, I mean, he's going to have the Colossi count over Hero, but Hero also has a very strong Immortal count actually right now. It looks like he has like 2 armies kind of putting together. One at his natural and one actually at the 3rd.
And Hero's splitting his army a little bit too, which is really weird. I don't understand exactly why he's doing this. I think he realizes that both of these armies will trade efficiently against Spear Stalker, so he wants to split it and make sure he doesn't get harassed around the backside or anything like that. That's what she said. And yeah, now Hero's going for a Twilight Council to get +2 because attack upgrades are very important in PvP. And this game is approaching War of the World status.
Pretty much, yes. It's going to come down to, okay, who has the most Colossi, and how's that going to go from there? So we do see the Stalkers moving up to the 3rd there. Colossi doing some damage, Immortal's getting off a few shots. And as of right now, it's kind of like one of those stalemate matches where you're just kind of, okay, waiting. Like, who's going to have the bigger army and when?
Who's going to get the mothership first?
Are they? Yeah, pretty much. Are they going to wait until they're maxed out at 200, or who's going to push earlier? Who's going to take the 3rd earlier? But yeah, so we're kind of waiting on that. In the meantime, we actually do see Mana pressing out on the northwestern part of the map, along with a proxy pylon actually going down at the bottom right portion.
And keep in mind, both these players are on very few gates right now. Mana's on 5, Hero's only on 3. That's because the Colossus production is so high. Hero going for a DT Shrine, kind of for Archon, kind of to get some harassment if his opponent's caught off guard, whatever, it doesn't really matter. But in front of Hero's natural, we're going to have a huge engagement. And Mana's looking like he's getting ready to take a 3rd, but this is where PvP comes down to pure positioning and composition, and that's about it.
Wow, what a spread for Hero there, though. Like, he had half his army, like, in his mineral line, so it's not like he got bottlenecked up near his ramp, and so as soon as Mana went to go press in, his Colossi had free reign for splash damage. That was actually kind of impressive there.
Yeah, and of course, you wanna keep your units spread out against Colossus, splash damage side to side, of course. But also having the buildings in range means that some of the units will attack buildings, and that's going to help Hero out a lot too. So really good positioning, even though it might keep some of his zealots back. As we can see, both players kind of trading a few units at a time. Now coming in full force as Mana through a choke point. And yeah, we're going to see how this one goes.
We do actually have the Warp Prison in there for reinforcement by Mana. We are seeing the forces press forward. And look at this surround that actually the Hero has. 3 Colossi up on the high ground, 2 back near the ramp. 2 available near the natural mineral, and that just gets cleaned up, and that's a GG right there.
Yeah, so my question is, well, obviously Hero did a really good job defensively and stuff, but why do you attack there?
Yeah.
There's no reason to. He's taking his third. He's got his opponent contained. He can easily scout around the map, make sure there's no hidden expansions or anything.
Yeah.
There's no reason to attack there, and that was definitely a mistake by Mana, but well played by Hero. Obviously the Stargate opening didn't, like, outright win the game for him or anything, but it gave him scouting information. It forced his opponent's hand into something he might not have otherwise wanted to do, and gave him an advantage in scouting, map control, and just all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I was actually kind of surprised, but Hero reacted perfectly there, spreading out his units, using the high ground to his advantage. I mean, he wasn't bottlenecked at all. His units weren't on top of each other, and so the splash damage was not as effective as, and if you saw the other side, Hero was able to bring down the power of the Thermal Lance with the Colossi very nicely because all the units were bottlenecked. So very nice job to Hero. And I think we're ready to jump into Game 2, showing you guys a little bit more of the PvP kind of Stargate opening. Buddha, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Alrighty. Let's go ahead and press play in 3, 2, and 1. And in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the red Protoss player representing Team Liquid. We have Hero.
And at the top left, we have StarTales Ace. When I watched this the first time, I was like, who the hell is Stace? And why would they spell it that way?
Who is Stacy, and why did she forget
I was like, oh, it's
Y?
a girl, Stacy. And then I looked at it again, I was like, StarTale Ace. And I was like, wait, why did I come up with that the first time?
It's okay. When you first sent me the replays and we were looking over, I'm like, okay, who is this person? Stace? So I'm like, what? Like, who am I looking at here? Because the A is, like, capitalizing the E, and so it kind of all runs together, but whatever. Anyways, on Ohana here, we do have, once again, another PvP. We're going to be highlighting a little bit more of that Stargate play and how effective it is during this kind of mirror matchup.
And in this particular instance, we're going to talk about how to kind of defend it a little better. Mana did a good job reacting last time, but Hero's going to play this a little bit differently, and yeah, this is why this replay is in here.
So this replay is going to progress here. We're going to see kind of the startups for each of these guys. We see the pylon going down first, along with the Stargate to follow up, and then what we really want to pay attention to is the gas timing. The gas timing, it really means everything. Last game we actually saw Liquid Hero take 2 gases at once, where we actually saw Mana take his first one, wait a little while, and actually take his second one. So let's actually see how that progresses.
And Hero's going to scout around for proxies in his main and natural. Then he's going to go back to mining, and he doesn't really need to scout this early, and obviously Ace not even checking the corners of his base. Feels pretty safe here. Both players taking their gas at the same time, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, we actually see 1 gas going down for each of them right now. We actually don't see a double gas just yet. But what is in order is really the big thing to pay attention to is when the Cybernetics core goes down, when is the gas time?
Yeah, Cybernetics core should always go down at 17 as Protoss, and it looks like Ace is going to open with a Zealot here, and this is a choice, of course, personal preference. Again, like I said, you can open PvP into multiple different builds with all sorts of stuff. You can always open 3 Stalker Rush. You can always open Zealot Stalker, and all of them have their different strengths and weaknesses for poking, for defensive purposes, how much money you actually want to spend on units that early to be safe / poke and get scouting information. There's a lot of different things to consider, and if you play Protoss and you don't know how you like to open, just try different things and stick with one generic build, but try different unit openings and see what you like more. Are you better at control more and stuff like that?
So in the meantime, we did see the additional gas go down for both opponents here. We do actually see the additional Stargate going down. But the big difference here is, as Buddha had pointed out, we had a Zealot come out first for Ace. But in the meantime, we saw a little bit of delay, and the Stalker now coming out. But it was chrono boosted, along with some of that chrono being used for the Cybernetics Core for the Warp Gate.
Yep, and as we can see here, this is going to be a perfect 3 Stalker rush. Hero is going to make, well, he's got 50 energy on his Nexus, and he's going to start 2 Stalkers at the same time. Chrono boost. Oh, well,
there
I guess
it is.
I watched this replay wrong. But typically, instead of using that Chrono boost on your Warp Gate, you use 2 of them on your each of your gateways, so that you get those 3 Stalkers out very quickly. And, you know, you can pressure your opponent, keep them in their base. You can scout around for the probe that they're sending out and all sorts of stuff. But looks like Hero doesn't want to do that. He wants his Warp Gate faster. And he's going to go Twilight Council. And Ace, like we said, is going to go Stargate. And Hero's going to show us how he's going to defend this.
Yeah, definitely. So this is actually a really cool replay to look at because we see flipped here. We see Ace right now acting as Hero lefting in regards to the Stargate play with the Phoenixes. On the opposite side, we actually see the defending point. And so that's definitely a big difference between our show versus a lot of other shows. We don't just want to show you, you know, hey, here's step A, B, and C. Do it. Okay, you're done. Good luck with the rest of the game. We want to show you the opposite side of things. We want to show you the defensive side of things, to show how actually to defend these after you scout them and what to look for. So, first engagement actually going on at the middle of the match.
Yeah, really important if you guys don't know this for some reason. If you're in a Zealot Stalker fight really early PvP, you want to target your opponent's Stalkers and kite their Zealots out so that the Zealots don't do any damage and you kill off their Stalkers and then can kite their Zealots the rest of the way out. So, really good job by Hero. He took a little bit of damage on one of the Stalkers. Not too big of a deal, though. And he's going to pressure his opponent's front. He really wants to see what's going on. He sees how much gas is being used here. He's going to move his Stalkers around. He's going to lose a couple and stuff, but this is good information for him. And, you know, sometimes if your opponent's playing really greedy, you can just kill him by doing that.
Yeah, and it looks like he's doing the best he can to actually pick off that sentry. He does not get the sentry before the Stalkers fall on his side of the force field there. In the meantime, we actually see 3 Phoenixes on their way out to the middle of the field there, hoping to pick off a Stalker or 2. And in the meantime, we actually see a proxy pylon at the bottom left-hand corner of the map for Ace.
So Hero right now just saw all the Phoenixes and canceled his Robo, which is a really important move in my mind because he knows that Robo builds tend to lose the Stargate builds. So he is going to... Well, he can't lose this sentry, but he is going to wall off a little bit like this, just so he can reduce surface area if the Phoenixes do pick up the sentry. And he's watching for that, and as soon as he sees those Phoenixes come over, he uses that force field because he knows the sentry is the thing that's going to get picked up here. Yeah. So really smart moves on both sides. He's going to warp another sentry in to keep these units at bay, and he gets just in time too. His warp gates are going to be just enough to hold this off. He does have Twilight Council tech. He is done with Blink, so now they're in kind of equal positions again.
Yeah, and a beautiful play actually by Liquid Hero, reading his opponent perfectly. Just as you said there, like he knew that the Phoenixes were going to target the sentry, so he used the force field as soon as possible, just before the Phoenixes actually hit to take that sentry up. And Ace on the other side, doing a really nice job keeping his opponent at bay, not allowing him to actually move out. But at the same time, still actually doing a very nice job. He is actually taking his Robo now, and it is about 3/4 of the way completed.
Yeah, and as we can see, Hero is actually poking out with a couple of Stalkers, just 4, and then he's got a couple more Zealots at the front of his opponent's base, and, you know, he's just running this army around, and he says, I want to expand, so I'm going to make you defend your base, so that I don't have to sit back and defend my base the entire time. And as we can see, these Zealots going to work on these Stalkers in the mineral line. His Stalkers are going to come up, and with Blink, he has the escape ability to, you know, make this army run away from him.
Yeah, in the meantime here we do actually see the Nexus about 45% completed for Liquid Hero. He is doing his best just to get reestablished, and this will give him a very strong edge against his opponent, all because of that Phoenix play. So this is a key, you know, kind of play that you're seeing by Liquid Hero in response to seeing those Phoenixes. The biggest thing, if you guys go back and check through the replay, is what he did when he saw the Phoenixes right away. As Buddha had said before, he canceled his Robo, which is definitely, one of you might think, oh, you should never cancel something, but it was a really wise decision by Liquid Hero.
All right, so as we can see, this Natural's about to finish up for Hero. Well, it has finished up. And Aces is a third of the way done-ish. Ace is making Immortals now, and Hero's actually going DT Shrine, which, I mean, we saw him do this last game, so he likes his DTs in PvP. I'm not as big of a fan because obviously observers can scout it really easily in your base, and obviously Ace already has a Robo and stuff, so it's not as popular with me, but he gets it to work, obviously, so by no means is it bad. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, we actually see right now a decent army composition at the top of the ramp for Ace. Liquid Hero pushing in a tiny bit, doesn't lose anything, goes ahead and blinks out very quickly there. And right now we're sitting at pretty even, but I kind of like the DT play. I don't know if Hero just feels that he's behind and needs the DTs in order to get back up there or what, but we'll have to see how he uses them, if he does Warp Prism, if he tries to sneak it in the base. Kind of have to see how he uses his units.
Yeah, it'll be weird to see, and as we can see, we have a lot of nothing going on at Hero's home. He's got 3 Zealots and a Sentry defending. He's got an Observer and Stalkers out on the field, spending a lot of those money on probes earlier. He's now at 42. He's taking his 4th gas here, and he is poking in. He blinks 1 Stalker up to keep vision and get another scout of his opponent's base. Really smart. A Warp Prism coming out for Ace, a Robotics Bay coming down for Hero. And we're actually going to see a lot of harassment come down for Hero. Now that he's got this Blink Obs combination, he doesn't have to have an army that can fight, right? He can just blink up and keep running away from Ace's army. And, you know, Ace is annoyed with this. He sees that this is going on, and he moves in for kind of a killing blow here with the rest of his army. So Hero's going to warp in at home. He's got his own Immortals going on. And as we can see, a lot of probes dying for Ace here.
Yeah, actually, and Blink just finishes up for Ace. It looks like that's what Ace was waiting for, Blink to finish up. We do actually have a push from Ace down the map right now. In the meantime, as you explained, we actually do see a little micro of the Stalkers in the main for Hero, and an engagement at the top of Hero's ramp right now as well.
Yeah, and as we can see, Ace is going to blink up, and this looks like a really good engagement for him, but these 2 Immortals and just Zealots are going to stomp through these Stalkers, even though the Stalker number was way higher. It's just Zealot art or Immortal is really, really good. And if you slow this battle down, which we're not going to do, you can see the amount of incredible micro going on here. But Hero cleans this up pretty easily, and as we can see in the base of Ace, DT is wrecking everything, all the production. All the probes had to come out for Ace, and his 30 slide is 80, and that's the GG right there.
Yeah, definitely. Hero did a beautiful job defending this. He expanded his economy as soon as he could. And as you said, GG is off, and once again, another win for Hero. And we'll actually be taking a look at Game 3 here. In the meantime, what are some things that you saw from a defensive side that other people should take a look at, Buddha?
For Hero?
For Hero, yes. What were some things that he saw that allowed him to defend that so nicely?
His decision-making is definitely a large part of it. And someone in the chat actually pointed out that he went DTs for Archon Stalker, but you, like, don't really go Archon Stalker. You go Charge Lot Archon, and you have a group of Blink Stalkers separately so that you can, you know, blink all over the place and get flanks on Colossus so they're not all firing on your Zealot Archon line.
Yeah.
And you come around from the side and stuff. So, yeah, it could have been for Archons, but you typically go High Templar so you can make more Zealots because you don't want a lot of Stalkers coming to the end of the game. They're not as efficient. They don't do as much damage. They can't tank as much damage. They're really just there for mobility and harassment and getting flanks and stuff like that. Kind of like the cavalry of StarCraft.
Yeah.
So yeah, you are right. It could have been for Archons, but realistically, it was probably for harassment and for that base trade, like you said. So he might think of it differently, but I think the DT Shrine was more for harassment, and he could have made Archons, but really not the cost-efficient way to do it, because you want to go Charge Lot Archon and you never start a charge. So,
good point. Regardless, we appreciate you guys. Making comments.
No, it's definitely a good point.
Yeah, I mean, we want it. We want you guys to ask us questions in chat or make comments or things that you see. We definitely appreciate it. It keeps things going, definitely. In the meantime, let's go ahead and jump into Game 3. Buddha, do you have your game up?
No, because, Blizzard won't let me connect to their stupid game because I log in and out too much because all the replays aren't the most recent patch from, like, 5 days ago, which is doing over and over again and changing nothing. Hooray.
Yeah, right. Okay, no problem. Well, by the time you get in there, let me know.
All right, I am in now.
Okay, and let's go ahead and hit play in 3, 2, and 1. And in the bottom right-hand corner of Ohana, we do have the red Protoss player being represented by TS. We have Lenori.
TSL Inori, yeah.
Inori.
Yeah, come on.
Inori. Go ahead.
And at the top left, we have our hero. Well, that was a bad intro. He's Liquid Hero. I guess that could have worked if I didn't make it awkward, but
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, this is the PvP we're looking at for the day because Hero's a baller, and this is gonna be the most awesome game actually because you don't see it all that often, but when it does happen, it's like, oh my god, what are we gonna do? So we'll see it when we see it. But Inori, a very, very, very good Protoss player. I think everyone's heard of him. He was a really big pro for a while, like one of the main up-and-comers. But, you know, he's really made a name for himself. He's on TSL now, and he's just fantastic. Fantastic!
Yeah, fantastic. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing some Phoenix play on Ohana once again. And at the beginning right now, nothing too crazy. Well, once again, as usual, if you are just joining us, see a typical pylon go out, and then a gateway followed up by a single gas, or maybe even a double. We'll have to see how each one goes.
And you know something we should look into, actually, because I went through a lot of high GM NA Protoss versus Protoss matches for prepping for this week,
Okay.
and I saw a lot of Forge openings. Like, I didn't actually look at the replay, I just used SC2 gears, but I'm not sure if they were like Cannon Rush Forge openings or what, but here we go again. Hero taking that 15 double gas. And, this is the game where he's actually going to fill both of them with 3 people right away. And it's kind of interesting how he stays in the game here. It really doesn't hurt him that much. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, we saw that double gas in the first game that we reviewed tonight, and it looks like on the opposite side of the map that we are only sitting on a single gas with 3 probes on that gas. We see the Cybernetics core going down along with additional pylon, and we'll have to see what edge that the additional gas does give to actually Liquid
Well, it
Hero.
gives him more gas, Octane. That's the...
Well, where
That's
he's
the
going to
edge.
progress with his tech tree, and what decisions he does make because of that additional gas availability.
Well, keep in mind that he's got, you know, 10 guys on gas instead of 13 compared to his opponent. So really a significant difference at the beginning, but their cores are going to finish at similar times. Hero's a good 5 seconds behind because of the lateness of his gateway by chrono boosting out that extra set of probes early.
Yeah.
And now he's got a Zealot, and he's going straight into a Sentry instead of a Stalker, so really has no ability to poke here. Has to stay home with his units, but he does get a Scout in. He's going to see that it is double gas, and he's going to feel safe against anything like a 4-gate. And, or, you know, a Proxy Robo 4-gate or any weird builds like that. And we're going to see Hero add on. I should have wrote down the timing, but I'm pretty sure there it is, Stargate.
There you go, yep. That's what we're doing tonight. Stargate? Oh, okay. Stargate play, huh? Cool.
And on the other side, a Stargate.
Yes, very exciting. So both players going the exact same thing right now. Just comes down to a little bit difference of the gas timings, along with an additional gate actually from Inori at the bottom right-hand corner.
Yeah, so Inori adding 2 gates, and keep in mind, Inori has not scouted up to this point at all, so he's going to push up this ramp here, and Hero's like, oh, I'm going to get a Zealot for free. So he force builds the Zealot in, and then the Zealot's like, oh, I'm not going to fight. Are you stupid? So he runs around, and he's going to see the Stargate, and now watch this. He's like, oh, you're going Stargate? Okay. And double Stargate!
That's kind of funny though. That's pretty good.
So, in PvP, I guess if you're going Phoenix, Inori thinks more Phoenix wins. And his 3rd gate is going to hurt him a little bit here, because he's not going to have quite as many minerals.
Yeah.
He had to delay that first Phoenix from coming out quite as much. And so, Hero's Phoenix is going to be out a lot faster, even though their Stargates finished at the same time because of that second Stargate going up. So, Hero's going to scout this Stargate when it finishes.
I'm actually pretty
it's really
surprised that we
long.
actually saw Inori allow his 3rd gate to complete if he was going to go with the double Stargates. Like, if you're putting that much investment into your Stargate play, wouldn't he go with the additional gate more? Especially on 1 base. That's kind of surprising.
Yeah, I feel like he should have canceled it because he had time to. But Hero sees the second Stargate, and so he has his own second Stargate. And so air versus air can get weird sometimes, right? Of course. But the difference between Protoss air and, like, I don't know, Muta on Muta is that Phoenixes literally cannot get away from Phoenixes because they can fire and shoot at the same time. So if you have more and you get into a fight, you're going to win no matter, well, I mean, upgrade, but you're going to win no matter what. So it's not like Phoenix Mutas where if they stop to attack, they pause for a split second. So Hero's going to catch one of Inori's Phoenixes. Big mistake by Inori there. And yeah, now he's got to run the other one away. Now he has 2 of his own. He's going to track these down, and now there's 3 for Hero, and it goes the other way. And look at that. That is the coolest thing I've seen all day. Guardian Shield on Phoenixes. What?
Yeah, that was actually pretty cool. That was pretty baller, like something to consider. He doesn't lose his Phoenix. But now it's like the air battle. It's like, okay, who can have the most amount of Phoenixes, and who can take out the most amount of units? And on the opposite side of things, on the economic side of things, we see both of them actually with their Nexus down. It does look like Heroes is going to finish a little bit before Inori's. But outside of that, both of them just pushing out as many Phoenixes as possible.
Yeah, and Hero, you know, starting his gases really early at his natural shows that he really wants to get a lot of, you know, tech units out, or not Zealots, and probably not as many Immortals here. So we got Phoenix on Phoenix all day long. If you haven't seen,
sounds like a dirty porn.
What's that?
Sounds like a dirty porn. Phoenix on Phoenix all day long.
Hot Phoenix on Phoenix action. Catch it at the Strategist.
Oh boy.
All right. Well, if you guys haven't seen it, there was a Pro League game where this happened, and it was the most out of control thing I've ever seen in my entire life. But basically, yeah, both of them are gonna make a bunch of Phoenixes, and then I was like, okay, we just have to cast this because it's awesome.
It is pretty cool to see. Like, there's barely anything else. It's like, oh wait, something's going on land. Let's kill it. There's so many Phoenixes everywhere.
Yeah.
So we are going to see a little battle coming up here at the middle between both units. Looks like Phoenix back and forth between there. Inori doing a great job actually holding that control. Hero has had an opportunity to actually push out recently. And it's kind of hard to run away when you're doing Phoenix versus Phoenix because they can kind of shoot each other.
Yeah, they definitely can. One thing you can do is bring units up to bait the Phoenixes to use their guardian or their pickup thingy, and Hero's gonna get caught here, and awkward runaway again. Like you cannot leave, I guess.
Yeah. And it does look like quite a number of Phoenixes will get taken out of Hero from Inori.
On both sides.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, like when you're watching these fights, because you're like, all right, you know, who's gonna lose more? But pretty much at this point here, both are established at their natural. Both are doing a pretty good job there. If you take a look at the harvest account, we're actually seeing Hero leading 43-37. So he is ahead there. On the other side of the spectrum, though, we actually do see a fleet beacon going down. And what do you expect we'll see from that?
Well, like someone in the chat just said, Phoenix Range is a game changer in PvP when you're both going Phoenix, because then you can run away and you can dominate your opponent by kiting them just like they were mutas or something. So that's definitely something we could see out of Inori. That's exactly what I plan to see, because he's not going for +2 upgrades. He never started +1. But it is a scary thing to do, because if you do go for that Phoenix range, that means you've invested, you know, 350 gas and like 450 minerals in something that's not going to be up for a while. So you could definitely die. But Inori, realizing that, you know, he had just enough stuff to stay alive, is going to go for that Phoenix range, and that's going to prompt him to want to take his third base, because obviously having map control with the Phoenixes is going to give him a huge advantage over his opponent. And this is a weird game, man. Again, we never see Phoenix range, like, almost ever.
Yeah, I know. It's like everyone definitely talked about it when it like first came out. I forget what patch that was, but kind of interesting. Look at Hero now. We're actually seeing a Twilight Council going down for him. So he has opted not to go actually into the Fleet Beacon, and actually a Twilight Council. Do you think we're going to maybe see Blink Stalker out of him to counter the Phoenix?
No, he's going to go Archon for sure. You can't pick Archons up, and the Phoenix is stack, so you know, you can obviously do a lot of extra damage there. And actually, Hero's going to clean up a lot of Inori's stuff before that, or that Phoenix range has actually finished, but not going to help him at all. That one Phoenix has 4 kills. What a hero. What a hero. And yeah, now Inori has used all that money and lost the Phoenix War and is restarting, but you know, it's a little late and a lot of harassment's going to go down.
Yeah, big thing to keep in mind to point out there, as you pointed out, like the huge investment for Inori to actually go ahead and spend that money on that range, and now he's like, I have 1 Phoenix left. And that Phoenix has that range, which is really nice, but it's like, I only have a few, so.
And it's not going to help that much against ground units, it's only going to help against Phoenixes for the most part, so Inori definitely has air control, but look at this. Hero actually isn't making Archons right now, and this is kind of curious. He's going for Blink. I think, well, he's making cannons, and cannons tells me he wants to defend his mineral lines, of course, but B, that he's willing to kind of do a little bit of a race against Phoenixes. So he might use these High Templar for feedback, which would be really awesome. But of course, Archon's going to be very useful as well.
Yeah. And I'm actually really happy to see Blink Stalker coming out. Anyways, we do see additional gates going down, so it's going to migrate the Liquid Hero more into a gateway composition army. And in the meantime, the opposite side of the map, we are seeing a very strong amount of Zealots actually coming out on the field for Inori. But he's continuing the Phoenix play. Yeah, right over there.
The feedbacks!
Oh, yeah, right?
He got all of them, but he didn't kill any, and he lost 2 High Templars. So I guess he didn't feedback fast enough, or didn't have enough energy, I guess.
Yeah.
Not the worst trade for Hero. I mean, like, he could have lost all of his High Templar, but not the best, that's for certain. And now both players have a 3rd base up. There's no charge out for Hero. He's just going Blink, and there's a lot of Zealots for his opponent. I don't know. This battle's not looking all that good for Hero at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we were kind of skeptical once we saw all the Phoenix get wiped out of Inori, but now that he's kind of rejuvenated that army composition, now we're actually going to see, you know, how effective it is, how fast they are, and that range is so helpful for those units. What is it called? The gravitational beam is just very effective, and yeah, Inori is looking very nice at this point.
Yeah, it's kind of cool that we saw the feedback try to get used, but Phoenixes just don't seem to have enough energy to make it really all that worth it, especially if you're using the energy constantly like Inori is doing. He's going to come back in and harass the 3rd base here, pick off more probes. And if we look at the probe kill count, it's actually 14-9, so both players getting a lot of probe kills here. And now that he's used all his energy, Hero's like, oh, you can't pick up my units, I'm going to attack! And of course it's not done for Inori. Actually, Inori hasn't started charge. That's a really weird decision. So these Zealots going to get kited all day, all night. That sounds pretty dirty.
Yeah,
too.
I think you're just ahead of me here. We actually do see the Stalker stacking in the pylon, and now we just saw Inori's units come down the ramp, and they are returning back up. We do see a blink into the 3rd, taking out so many probes actually right now, and the Phoenix is now coming in. Nice blink directly under the Phoenixes, and along with some force fields on the ramp. And now Hero's pushing back, and Inori's army very nicely.
Alright, I think we are back caught up here. God, that's annoying. How is...
I love you, Blizzard, and your replay.
Well, Inori going double Immortal here, and that's going to be really awkward now that Hero has charge and is really transitioning more into that charge-like Archon composition. And the Zealots obviously doing a really good job against the Stalkers. Hero kind of has to run a little bit here, but 8 Zealots being warped in at a time is going to be a huge difference maker for Hero here, especially against a Stalker Immortal composition with charge.
Yeah, definitely. And as you said there, all those Zealots getting warped in right now. Handful of Stalkers sitting back a little bit. Hero doing a great job now actually pressuring his opponent while he gets his 3rd completely established. And looks like we're seeing some more Archons actually coming out from Hero. He isn't sitting on Zealots and Stalkers completely. See a little bit more of a combination. And yeah, we'll have to see how this game progresses now that we're actually seeing things flip around a little bit. Hero has completely stopped any Phoenix play.
Yeah, both players kind of going to that double Robo Colossus play. Inori's got the 2 Robos, making 2 Colossus right now. Hero adding that 2nd robotics facility, and his robotics bay is already completed. Not starting any Colossus quite yet. He really is trying to kill this 3rd base off so that he can play a defensive game and hold his opponent off. But yeah,
How about the pickup play by Nori with that work and that was awesome.
Yeah, these guys are pretty baller at their micro, man. That Protoss is a lot of micro, and now it's going to get focused down. Not going to be quite enough Immortals here, and there's the GG, man.
Yeah, that was a really cool game actually to see. To actually see which Protoss player decided to migrate out of Phoenix like sooner. Like for example, we saw Hero win there, and maybe that was because he didn't actually keep up with the Phoenix play. He decided to migrate out of that a little bit quicker, go into the Archons a little bit more to counter that. But either way, awesome set of replays actually demonstrating kind of the PvP StarGate opening build that is definitely popular right now.
If someone watched this show and had never played or seen StarCraft before, really, they would, like, if they just watched all our episodes, they'd be like, dude, this Hero guy, he never loses. He's like, he's cheating or something.
He's cheating because all the replays.
All we do is show Hero winning, like, I don't know, every 2 episodes or so.
Yeah, right? I actually didn't even realize that. It's actually kind of funny. Well, excellent. Well, if you guys enjoyed what you watched tonight, make sure you guys go check us out. Our contact info is up on the screen right now. If you are watching this on YouTube, make sure you go check us out on Twitch. You can check out the live show. We love the live audience. We love feedback. We love comments. Twitch.tv/amovetv. If you're checking us out on Twitch and want to see our other episodes on several other builds that we've done so far, go ahead and check out youtube.com/thestrategisttv. If you guys want to follow us on Twitter and find out when we go live or any changes that we're making with the show, check us out on Twitter. Follow us, twitter.com/thestrategisttv. And finally, if you have comments, recommendations, replays you want us to go over, hate mail you want us to review, make sure you send that to thestrategisttv@gmail.com. We check that all the time. We definitely would appreciate you guys, emailing us, letting us know if you have any questions. Hey, I've been working on this build. This isn't working. Why is it not working? Shoot us an email. We've gotten a few of those, asking for help. So make sure you guys go ahead and do that, and we can definitely go from there. So yeah, we're on episode 11, moving along pretty well, gone through quite a number of replays so far. We took a few shows and decided to do a little bit more of a series analysis. We did a kind of a Suppy, who was it? Suppy versus who? Do you remember who it was? Was it Suppy versus Hero? Yeah.
We did Suppy versus Hero episode 6.
Yeah, and we did like an analysis there, analyzing how their builds change between the different series that were going on. So if you guys are really interested in that, check that out on YouTube. We love seeing comments on YouTube, and yeah, I think that's a show, Buddha.
All right, guys. Well, make sure you check us out next Sunday night, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, here at twitch.tv/amovetv. And for now, you guys, remember, practice hard, win easy.